Happy Tuesday, everybody. Andy from WagerTalk.com breaking down Dana White Contender Series 2023 Week 6. Fortunately, lost our best bet on Contender Series last week, but came back strong, hit our 5% play at the UFC event. So we are on a beautiful 7-1 run in MMA. I do have my best bet up at WagerTalk.com for tonight's Dana White Contender Series. And if you want the big dog, if you want the big one, our 5% best bet is up for Noche UFC. This is a very bettable UFC card. If you have not done some deep dives onto the fights at Noche UFC, very bettable. There's a lot of spots to make money on that card, so I highly recommend looking at that. So we're going to get into the Contender Series, and while you're watching this, please hit the like button. Really, really helps the algorithm, helps me out, lets Wager Talk know that I'm doing a good job here. So go ahead and hit the like button, and leave me your comment and tell me what your best bet is for tonight. I will tell you I don't like the talent on this card, top to bottom. There's a couple decent fighters. I'm going to be interested to see who gets contracts. I think there's a chance that there's going to be some winners tonight that do not get contracts because I don't see a lot of upside in some of these fighters. I think betting it is going to be a little bit tough, but there's some spots that I really like. I think across the board people are going to get tripped up by some of these fights. So let's start breaking them down here, and we'll start with Gene Matsumoto versus Kasey Tanner. And I did all my write-ups yesterday, and I thought I was going to be the sneaky guy saying Kasey Tanner's going to win because he was the underdog. I wake up this morning, and now all of a sudden on DraftKings, he's minus 120 favorite. And I think that's the right move here. So here's the thing about Kasey Tanner, and this is something that I kind of want to touch on a little bit. So we look at Kasey Tanner, and, okay, he hasn't fought in like a year and a half. And I think way too often we just do this with fighters that haven't fought in a while. We go, well, it hasn't fought in a year and a half. He's going to lose. And I think we need to start revisiting that and pump the brakes on that thinking because it's just too easy to say. And so I looked up Kasey Tanner and tried to figure out why he hasn't fought in a year and a half. And here's the thing. He's had a lot of these little injuries and he just wanted to heal up. And the other thing is he's been getting ducked. He could not find fights in that he couldn't find fighters that would agree to fight him. So you end up with like a year and a half break. I wonder if that is actually going to work out in his favor, that he's going to come into this fight completely healthy. And he couldn't find a fight, so Contender Series was like, all right, we'll take you if you're that good. So here's what I know about Tanner's style. He's going to look to take this thing to the ground. That's his bread and butter. When he gets it to the ground, he's really good. I like his ground game a lot. What I like is he holds guys down. Taking guys down is one thing, but holding them there and setting up your ground and pound or submissions is another. And he does a really good job with that. I know he's fought bad competition, but again, I just don't think the good fighters wanted to fight him because I think he's better than them. He's got really good cardio. He's going to be a little bit taller. And so that's what Tanner's going to be looking to do here in this fight. Now, can he do it? I think he can. And so when you look at Matsumoto, who has fought, a ton. I mean, look at this. This guy's fought 4 times since the last time that Tanner has fought. And it's a little bit of wear and tear on the body, but I got to be honest, I haven't been that impressed with his fights. He's fought fighters with good records. The records kind of look to be padded a little bit. So I think sometimes we have to look at some of these fighters that we say, well, they got really good records, and then you look them up and you go, well, they're not that great. I mean, this guy lost to Gene Matsumoto, but this guy's lost 3 out of his last 4 fights. So he's not that great. Here's what I know about watching Matsumoto. He's got good leg kicks. I just wish he threw a lot more of them. I think that could be a great weapon for him tonight. I just don't see him throw a lot of them. 2 fights ago against Santos, he was susceptible to the takedown and the ground control. That opponent was not nearly as good as Tanner. So Matsumoto, he's got pretty good striking, but this fight 2 fights ago, to me, was a red flag because Santos was not nearly as good as Tanner as the takedowns, and he got him down a couple times. That guy, that was not really his go-to move, like his bread and butter just kind of happened. Tanner, that is his go-to. That's what he wants to do. So I think Tanner takes him down. I think Tanner wins this on the ground or in dominant fashion by decision, unless Matsumoto works that leg kick. For his sake, I hope he does because it's really good. It just you need to throw a lot more of them to do the damage and to slow Tanner down. So if Matsumoto does does throw those kicks, I think he's got a chance to win on the feet. But if Tanner gets this to the ground, it's Tanner all day, and I will pick Tanner to win this fight. Julia Polastri and Patricia Alujas. Here's another fighter has not fought in a while. So we haven't seen Alujas in a while. I couldn't really find a whole lot of her. I looked her up on Instagram. She has been training hard. Looks like she's pretty excited about this fight, and it's tough to look at her because I looked at her last fight and look at these. I mean, look at these fighters that she's fought. They're bad. They're really, really bad. So I wasn't that impressed on film in her last fight, to be honest. I thought she doesn't throw with any power. They're more they're more pushes. You know how like you see these like really crisp like strikes. Hers are more like pushes. So I don't think she's going to be able to do a lot of damage here. She won a previous fight that I couldn't even find by heel hook. So her last two, we had a split decision and unanimous decision, and so she's won by submission. I don't think she's going to be able to submit Polastri. Polastri is really good, and Polastri is going to be stronger, and I think she's going to be a little bit quicker. And she had a really nice arm triangle in her last win. She's been the more active fighter. In this case, I think it's probably a good thing. I like Polastri. I wanted to pull the trigger on Polastri inside the distance, but I can't quite get there. So I can't recommend an inside the distance because Luas is pretty tough, and I know you don't want to judge a fighter based on their Instagram post, but it looks like she's ready. It looks like she's ready for this fight. I don't think she's going to win, but I do think that she's going to put up at least a little bit of fight. And when we look at Plaster, I mean, she lost on Contender Series to Jasmine Jasudavicius. She looked horrendous in this fight, like horrible. Went back and watched it, and it was like, my God, that looks like an older sister beating up a younger sister. But she made some big improvements. I thought she's looked way better in her last couple fights, especially in her last two. So she does not look nearly like what she did on Contender Series. I think she's here to win and possibly get a contract, but she's gonna have to finish, and I don't know if she gets there. So I can't recommend inside the distance. I was really, really close, but I do think Polastri takes it. So maybe you can use it as a parlay piece, but I think it probably goes the distance. AJ Cunningham and Stephen Nguyen. Here we go. Another guy hasn't fought in a while. I got to be honest. I'm not a big Stephen Nguyen fan. I thought his performance on Contender Series was terrible. The guy he was fighting was terrible, and Nguyen had no killer instinct whatsoever. I don't know what that fight was. I mean, it was bad, and before, which is weird, but because before that he's got a bunch of finishes, but for whatever reason he gets on Contender Series and he loses to Cruz, and then he puts on a terrible performance. So it's like Contender Series is his kryptonite. Okay, why haven't we seen him in forever? Well, that worried me. So I don't see. I see Nguyen almost as a little bit of a front runner. We talked about this with a fighter a couple weeks ago. Bulgarui, I believe, was the front runner, and sure enough, he lost. That's what Stephen Nguyen is. He likes to beat up guys that are lesser than him. But if it's somebody, I don't know. If it's somebody the same skill level, I don't know how he I don't know. He takes it to the next level. So the other thing before the Contender Series, this fight against Jorge Juarez, he knocked a guy out in 30 seconds. It was a great shot. The guy was face down, and it was one of the most unnecessary kill shots on the ground. And anytime I see a fighter do that, it's never a great fighter. Like, it's somebody that's like, oh, I finally get a free shot at a guy, and I don't see the elite fighters doing stuff like that. that shot he gave that guy, it was almost to the back of the head. It was really dangerous. It was completely unnecessary. The guy was unconscious, and that's what I mean. He's a front runner. So I was really, really hoping to bet against him. And then I looked at film on AJ Cunningham, and Stephen Nguyen's going to win this fight. So I'm not impressed with AJ Cunningham in the slightest here. So he wins this his last fight by rear naked choke. It was one of the strangest rear naked chokes. I mean, the guy was apparently so tired he just couldn't. He didn't have any more energy, and I thought Cunningham was losing the fight before that. And that's the thing. Cunningham gets tired, and he has terrible strike defense. I mean, his hands are way down here. He just hasn't really fought anybody that can really take advantage of it. And I think Stephen Nguyen can. I'm down on AJ Cunningham. I did not see anything that impressed me. He gets this rear naked choke when the guy was just completely exhausted. That guy was 6-4. Wins decision, wins a split decision, loses. So, I mean, you have to go back to his fight in the Pyramid Fight 16, which I've never even heard of, to find a knockout. And I'm not down on AJ Cunningham. I'm not really impressed with Stephen Nguyen. This is one of those fights where I think Nguyen wins, and it's not a really good performance, and Dana just doesn't give him a contract. So Nguyen should absolutely win this one. His striking game is better, and the lack of cardio from AJ Cunningham is just going to be on full display. And you're going to see him. He as soon as his cardio goes, he like hunches over, and he's got his hands down here, and he's just like fighting like this. It's just a bad look. So give me Nguyen. That's not groundbreaking pick, but I really wanted to bet against Nguyen. I would love if Nguyen won and got a contract, because fade away in your UFC debut on this guy. So two fighters you can tell I'm not really impressed by. So Eduardo Neves and Jhonata Diniz. So we saw Eduardo Neves in Contender Series when I've never seen a human being gas out in an MMA fight like he did. He goes crazy against Mick Parkin, falls asleep, an adrenaline dump, ends up in the fetal position when Mick Parkin submits him. This fight didn't even last 2 minutes. He was exhausted in a minute, and so he comes back. He wins 2 fights after that. Good job, but the competition was horrible. I mean, this guy, Iago Silva, was just a punching bag. And here's the thing. Neves has no cardio. His cardio is done halfway through the first round. Maybe if it's a slow-paced fight, he can make it into round 2. This guy that he beat, remember I talked about looking at the competition of the competition? This guy that Neves beat, 10-6. Okay, it's a decent record, except he's lost 3 in a row, and he's lost 4 out of 5. So when we're looking at this guy that Neves beat, is not very good. So he's fighting Jhonata Diniz, who has a really good kickboxing background. He lost 3 out of his first 5 fights when he first started kickboxing back in 2012. So you can see he's kind of gotten better. And then he rips off 3 kickboxing wins as he kind of transitions here into MMA. And he's 5-0 in MMA. Not against great competition, but here's the thing that we have to remember with heavyweights. The UFC struggles to find good competition. So the regional scene is just full of not good competition. So when we're looking at Neves and we're looking at Diniz, we're just going to say neither of them fought great competition because it's really hard. I love the striking of Diniz. It's patient. You can just see a lot of kickboxing in his background and in his strikes, and he uses them really, really well. I think he's crisper, and I think he's more clean than Neves. Now, we have not seen the cardio of Diniz, but he has a finish in kickboxing in round 3. He lost here in round 3. He lost by a decision. He won by a decision. He wins by a corner stop. So in kickboxing, he's made it into the later rounds. So I got to believe his cardio is going to be better. And that's going to be the story of this fight is I think Diniz just has to survive the first couple minutes. And you might say, oh, kickboxer, takedown. He can't defend takedowns. I actually think he can. And if I'm betting on Diniz, which I like Diniz to win, I hope Neves tries takedowns in wrestling. If he tries any takedowns in wrestling, he's going to be asleep by the end of the first round, like just tired because he has no cardio. So I like Diniz in this one. I think his striking is better than Neves on the feet, and this is by far the best striker that Neves has ever fought. Like Diniz has fought kickboxers, so he's used to being in these striking battles. Neves is not fighting these guys that can throw the power and throw the volume of Diniz. So I like Diniz to win this one. This fight not to go the distance is minus 800. So the books are telling us this is not going to go very long. So, but give me Diniz. And with how bad that Dana needs heavyweights, I think Diniz wins, and I think he gets a contract. And it wouldn't surprise me to see him get a fight in the UFC sooner rather than later. So give me Diniz in that one. Once again, guys, just want to remind everybody that we do have our best bet up at WagerTalk for Contender Series. We are on a really nice 7-1 run in MMA and across all sports. We are up 109 units in 2023, and we don't have any like huge win, like 70-1 wins. These are all like 2%, 3%, 4%, 5% play. So we're having a great year across all sports. And if you haven't hit the like button by now, please hit the like button. That's all you gotta do. Just bing, hit the like button and leave me a comment and tell me what your favorite bet is. And we have the video up for Noche UFC. And we're playing the game where you pick your favorite fighter on that card and how many significant strikes they're going to have. And if you're within 2 without going over, you win a prize pack. So we almost had a winner last week. He missed it by 1 strike on Israel Adesanya. So if you want to check that video out here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel, I encourage you to. And encourage you to go get that best bet, as well as the 5% that is up for Noche UFC for this Saturday. All right, let's break down the main event. Malik Lewis and James Llontop. And you might recognize the name Malik Lewis. He has made an appearance here on Contender Series against the infamous Trevor Peek. And he got knocked out. And he comes back and fights Paulo Silva in Peek fighting. And he gets the win like right at the end. It's with 7 seconds left. And it was a nice ground and pound victory. So he's a decent striker. He just has a low ceiling. His best is not UFC caliber. And his best, I don't think, is Contender Series caliber. He's not super fast. He's not super powerful. And he doesn't have good cardio. What concerns me about him is there's like levels to losing cardio. Like there's like, okay, the fight has started. I have all my weapons. I'm 100%. And then there's like a level below where it's like, okay, I probably don't have the cardio to knock anyone out in spectacular fashion. Then there's a level down where it's like, okay, now I don't have the power to knock anyone down or take anyone down. And then it's like, I'm a zombie and I could get knocked over by a breeze. So like my problem with Malik Lewis is he just drops a level way too quick. Like he's got 100% of his weapons and then like end of round 1, he just doesn't. And we saw it in his fight against Paulo Silva. He was tired, but thank God Paulo Silva was more tired. And I wanted to like Malik Lewis, and I wanted to pick him to win, and I just can't get there. He's the underdog, and I think he's the underdog for a reason. Llontop, he's just well-rounded. He can strike. He can work takedowns. He's got a good ground and pound game. And I just think he's going to be a little bit better everywhere. And once it gets out of the first round, I don't see how Malik Lewis wins. So I like Llontop. He's just a little bit better everywhere. And I don't think Lewis can get a flash knockout on him. I think Llontop's too good for that. I haven't seen Llontop really. I haven't like seen a high upside from him, but his upside is a lot higher than Malik Lewis. And this is one of those fights where it wouldn't surprise me if Llontop wins and does not get the contract. So the fight I think is going to play out. Llontop's going to push up against the fence sooner rather than later in round 1. And then in round 2, I just think he slowly pulls away. I think this fight does go the distance. I don't see a finish in this one. I don't think Lewis is the finishing type in this one, but Lewis is good enough to not get finished. So I might look at some props on this one to go the distance if we're going to get a good price on that one. So Let's do a little recap here. I like Kasey Tanner. Again, I thought I was going to be the sneaky guy and take Tanner as the plus money favorite, and then I wake up this morning and he's a little bit of the favorite. So, or I'm sorry, the plus money underdog, and now he's the favorite. But I do like Tanner to win. I like Polastri to win. I wanted to get to the window with her to win by finish, and I just can't quite get there. I think Stephen Nguyen beats AJ Cunningham. I'm not high on either one of these fighters, so I expect a not great performance from both of them, but I do think Nguyen wins. I love Diniz over Neves. I think Neves' cardio is just a really, really bad situation here. And I think James Llontop wins against Malik Lewis. So we've had underdogs win on Contender Series, and I've done a pretty good job. I think I've hit at least one in every week. I think Tanner was going to be my underdog, but now he's a favorite. So now I'm picking every favorite, and I'm okay with that this week. I think this is a week that the favorites roll. So give me some of the favorites, and if you want my best bet, it is up at WagerTalk.com. Hit the like button, leave me a comment, and don't forget to check out all of our other gambling content at WagerTalk YouTube channel. I've got my UFC Noche breakdown video that is up, and of course, we do the Road to Millions Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sundays. If you didn't catch our Sunday show that we do Sunday mornings to get ready for the football slate, you got to check that one out. Seriously, it was a great show. We showed you how to build same game parlays. We hit all of them. We showed you how to use alt lines. We hit all of those. A lot of player props. So really, really proud of the work. So I'm very excited about the Road to Millions videos. That's going to do it for us, guys. Good luck. Let's cash, and I'll see everyone on the YouTube channel Takedown Live tonight, where we watch all of the fights live, do some maybe in-fight wagers, and just have some fun watching the fights live. Good luck. We'll see everyone later.